Okay, so welcome to SPSS tutorials, and we will be starting off this session with a discussion on factor analysis. Before we begin, let me set some ground rules. So for the next few sessions, we will be focusing on this particular research on e-government practices. So we will be focusing our attention on this framework, and then you can see here that this has 7 main variables and an eighth group for the demographic variables. Now, for the purposes of this tutorial, we will also be looking at some of the things that would constitute a research analysis, and that would include examining direct effects, as we can see here, like information quality, system quality, and service quality, all having direct effects towards perceived usefulness and user satisfaction. Now you can also see here an implied mediating effect with these three variables here on perceived usefulness, user satisfaction, and perceived benefits. Lastly, we will also be trying to look at analysis of moderating effects as implied here by this variable in trust in e-government. Lastly, we'll also be looking at controlling for demographics, as we see here. So let's get to it. Okay. All right. So normally when you do collect your data and then you try to encode it, you start with an Excel spreadsheet. So what you're seeing right now here is the collected data for the framework that we just saw a while ago. And there are two types of respondents. One is the GSIRS respondents. The other one is the SPSS respondents. So we will be using this data set for the rest of the sessions for this SPSS tutorial. Now, I already have my SPSS open here, so let me just give you guys a quick tour of it. So what you're seeing now is the variable view. We will be doing a lot of preparatory work when it comes to this view, and data view will be the one that will contain all of the data that we will be transferring from the Excel file to this particular area that we're seeing here. So let's get to it. So like I said, normally you start off with a data set that's in Excel, and what I usually do is like we can just like copy paste all of the data that we need. Normally, it's better that all of your data that you're going to be transferring to SPSS are in numerical form. So you copy that, and then you click on that so that you start it off. Now, depending on how powerful your system is, your computer is, it might take a few seconds to like several minutes for you to copy paste the data. Now, there are different ways of doing it. You can just simply import the data from Excel and then paste it here, open it here. But for the purposes of the tutorial, I will be doing it the old-fashioned way for this one. So, all right, there you go. So that's your data. We have 38 variables for this, and for that particular section from our Excel spreadsheet, we have 342 responses. So then we take the other one, the GSIS data, and then we will be doing the same thing. So we get the data that we need, and we copy paste it to our Excel spreadsheet here. Now notice that by default, SPSS will label your variables as var 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to the last variable, which is, I think, variable 38. Okay, yeah, this is here. So, all right, so the rest of the data is copied. We should have something about 541 respondents, if I remember correctly. All right, okay. All right, so yeah. Now, notice as well that starting from row 542, it's a little bit grayed out. So that means there's no data whatsoever that is entered or encoded in this row and the following. So you can be assured that only those are here. If you can see the difference in the grayed area here versus the blackened area here, you can see that there's a difference. That means that it's only these rows that have data points in it. And in this case, or since I'm using survey data, one row corresponds to one respondent. So that means I have 38 variables and I have or 38 question items, and I have 541 responses to work with. Keep that in mind. That will be important later. But for now, the next step, once your data is here, the next step, of course, is to try to save it. You don't want to waste your work, so okay, let's put it somewhere that I can work with it. So okay, okay, and then let's title it as BA103 step. Okay, yeah, okay. So all right. So BA1 start announced by the e-government data set. That should be fine. So and then save the data. Now, if this is the first time you open SPSS, this window will pop out. So this is your output window. It will document all of the things that you will be doing as far as using functions in SPSS is concerned. This can be handy later on. As we go along, we will be referring back to this window every now and then. But for now, let's go back to the data view of our data sheet here, and we will now switch our attention to the variable view. So we want to label all of these so that it will be less confusing for us. So let's try to do that. This might take a while, so bear with me. The first column is type. Okay, so you want to correspond the labels according to the way the order that you set out in your Excel spreadsheet, so that that will be the way that you would be consistent about it. So let's try to do it. So that's type, and then followed by 3 items on trust in e-government website. So it's a TRE1, TRE2, and TRE3. Now this might sound a little tedious and looks a little cumbersome to do, but I prefer to do it. So just to have a double checking mechanism to see whether all of my data points have been copy pasted to from Excel SPSS. Hopefully, by the end of this particular step here, we will be consistent with it. So it's my way of checking. So let's continue on. System quality as 9, so that would be SQ1, SQ2, SQ3, SQ4, SQ5, SQ6, SQ7, SQ8, and SQ9. Yeah, I like to mix things up, a little manual here, a little automation here, so it keeps everything under control for the most part. So the next is 3 items, I think. Yeah, 3 items on SEQ. That's the service quality. Right. 2, SEQ3, and then 4 items on perceived usefulness. PU1, PU2, PU3, and PU4. Next up, 3 items on user satisfaction. So that's US1, US2, and US3. Now you can code this whatever you like, as long as what you're comfortable with or what you think you'll be familiar with for the rest of the session. I don't mind. I'm just doing it the way I want it. I've been doing this for quite a while, so I'm very used to this kind of coding and all. And then the last 4 variables here will be for our demographics. So that will be gender, age, number, and monthly. So let's do that. So this is gender, age, group, number of years, and monthly income. All right. The next part, people would sometimes use this label portion here so that they can give specific labels to their variables. It's not too much of a problem for me. You can actually do that if you want. Normally what you can do is like for example, for the actual survey questions, you can just copy paste that question. And you can copy paste the question into your data sheet, like so, here, so you can do that, but I'm not gonna do that. It's gonna take quite a while, but yeah, it's helpful for some to do that. But what's more important is the values. So let me do that again. So if you click on a cell under values, you would see this little ellipsis here. You click on that, and you will see this window in which you can actually label the values in here. What does that do? It actually helps you identify or give some sort of a labels to all of these numbers that you're seeing on your data view. So we're just gonna do that. Okay, I think one is GSIS. Yeah, one is GSIS, two is SSS. So one is GSIS respondent, and then click add. Two is SSS respondent. Add. So once that is done, click OK. Now for the Likert scale, I am using a 7-point scale here. So that would mean that when I label them, I need to label 7 points. So one is my strongly disagree. Two is my disagree. Three is my somewhat disagree. Four is my neutral or neither agree nor disagree. Five is somewhat agree. Six is agree. And seven is my strongly agree. Alright, so they're all here. Click OK. Now, instead of doing this one by one, you can actually copy and paste it, all of those variables that you select or scale. So, alright, so we can see here now that it's already there. Alright, next up is gender. So, in this case, one is female. So, we add that, and then two is male. So I'm using gender on birth or gender at birth for this particular variable. The age group, I think I have 5. Let me double check it. Yes. Yes, I think. Okay, all right. There you go. There's 5. So this is the way I'm doing it. So let's also do that. So it's like every 10 years. So 20, 30 years old is my minimum. Okay. All right. So for my age group, I have 5. So that is 20, 30 years old. And 2 is 31 to 40 years old. 3 is 41 to 50 years old. 4 is 1 to 60 years old. And number 5 is above, or let's say let's put it 61 and 61 years old and more. Old and older. Alright, so there you go. Now for the number of years, let me double check. Alright, less than 1 year. Alright, so okay, 1 to 3, 4 to 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. Alright, so let's do that. So I also have so like less than 1 year, and it in. 2 is 1 to 3 years. 3 is 4 to 6 years. 4 is 7 to 9 years. And 5 more than 10 years and more. And more. Now it's not apparent what their value is right now, but later on when we actually do the analysis, we will be seeing more of these and their effects later. Okay? Their effects on our analysis later on, especially on our reporting part. Now the monthly income, yeah, this is a little bit tricky. So because I think, all right, so it's like 49.99 to 150. So okay, so let's do that for one. So let's okay, let's start. Okay, let's put it at 50. to 150,000. This is monthly income. Okay, let's put the denominator. I'm using peso for this one. 2 is 200. All right. Okay, 150. Okay, 150.01 until 400. All right. Let's do that one. Just like 150.01 to 400,000. 3 is okay, 450. Okay, 401,000 until 600. All right. To 600. Oops, I forgot to make the sign here. All right. Now there's a good thing. Okay, I think I'm gonna take so this one. You see, I forgot to put the sign, so I'm gonna put in the. Okay, I'm gonna put it there, and then I'm gonna change it. So it's changing there. So okay. All right. So let's continue on. Number 4 is 601 until 800. All right. Oops. 800,000. Add that one, and then lastly, number 5 is okay, 800,001 and above. So okay, this is monthly salary. Okay, all right. I think I have 5, right? Yeah, all right. I have 5. So yeah, all right. So all of those are in. The next part would be to measure the measurement. Like this is another one that you need to look into. So type is actually just the type of respondent. So I'm going to put that to nominal. The rest of my Likert scale will be scale. All right. And then for the last, for demographics, I'm going to go with nominal on this one. Nominal, nominal, and nominal. It will have an effect later on when you do your regression and stuff like that. Now, okay, so all of that's done. You notice that on the up on your title bar here, you can see a little asterisk before the file name. That means there are changes in your file, so you want to save. Okay. So once you save it, that asterisk is gone. So that means you can continue on with this one. All right. Now that is complete. Okay, we have okay, well, see now like all of since we changed, now it becomes the label that we want it to be. All right. Now for the first step, we are looking at okay, we're going to be looking at the cleaning the data. That means ensuring that all of our data is good, like no missing data, no misencoded data, and so on and so forth. So let's now go to analyze, okay, and then look at descriptive statistics. So the first thing that we're going to look at is on the descriptives. So you click on that one, and then you can see this window. Now SPSS has similar windows for each function. The left hand side will show you all of the available data, all of the available variables that you can use for the analysis. The right hand side will show you which variables will be analyzed by this particular function. So you put everything there, you just highlight everything, and then you can put all of it right there. Now, if you have too much time in your hands, you can just go one by one like that, blah blah blah. But of course, we're doing everything, so let's just highlight everything and put it there. All right, and then click on options. So we got the mean, we got standard deviation, minimum, maximum, variable list. Yeah, okay, that's fine for now as far as like what we're trying to achieve here is concerned. So okay, that's fine. So click on continue and then click out. So we click OK. We go back now to the output view and we will see now this table. Now, like I said, remember what I said? We have 541 respondents. So that's our first indicator that we need to look at. All of the variables should have an N here of 541. Anything below that, that means we're missing some data. So, okay, we're looking good. The next two columns that we're gonna look at is the minimum and maximum. All right. For the Likert scale items, we know that it's a 7-point scale. We are using a 7-point Likert scale for our questionnaire here. So we are going to look into it and see whether there's a number that's beyond 7 or less than 1. Nothing. All right, so that's a good thing. That means if you have something that goes outside this minimum maximum range, that means there might be some misencoding of the data. All right. Now the type, we know there's only two numbers in that one, so we're good. The gender, we have 2. Age group, we have 5, 5, 5. 1 to 5, 1 to 5, 1 to 5. All right, good. We're all good. The next thing that we're going to look into is the mean and standard deviation. Now, these numbers will be important for us, especially later when we start selecting the data in which we're going to report. But for now, let's put it as is. We'll have more on this later uh, when I say something about how are we going to interpret the data. But for now, okay, I think we're all looking good. Yeah, that's another thing. You know it's 1 to 7, so you don't want to have a mean that that's below 1 and above 7. That's just silly. Okay, so we're getting same with standard deviation. You don't want a standard deviation that is greater than your mean. Okay, that's just plain statistics for you. Okay. All right, so we're good. Now the next thing that you want to look into, okay, is the frequencies. So analyze, descriptive statistics, and we go now to frequencies. So again, if you really want to look into all of your data, then you can just put every single variable that's there on the right hand side, and this is just simply telling SPSS that these are the variables that will be undergoing frequency uh, distribution analysis. So we click on statistics. So we can do a lot of things here. You can look at the usual basic statistics of mean, median, mode, standard deviation, minimum, maximum, and probably that's it. And then we can continue. You can also do some charts if you're doing a practical report like an industry report. You can also do charts here, but I think in my opinion Excel will be better. It has more functions. The output of SPSS for these are pretty basic, so I'd rather use Excel if I want to do some bar charts or pie charts or histograms and all of that. So it's not really too important for us. Format, I usually go by ascending values, and then if you can want to compare values, that's also fine there. And then yeah, let's see. Do I need something here? I don't think I need something. All right. So all that's there. So let's click OK, and we will now have. You can see here on the left hand side of your output window here. You're gonna see a lot each nut, so it's easier for you to navigate around. You generate you generate the the frequency table per item here, so you can see here. Now this is what I'm saying a while ago. Now we did label it, so if you can see here, you can see we did label the values here, so you can see GSI has responded, SSS responded. Had we not put the labels on the values, we'll only see 1, 2 here. So the same here with our Likert scale items, Likert scale variables here. If we did not put these strongly disagree to strongly agree labels here, we're only gonna see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 here. So this is very useful if you label the values as what we have done here. So this corresponds to that one. So no problem there. Whoops. So all right. So and this is another way for you to see whether you got missing data and all. So you can see so it's more important for us here for our demographic variables. Like if you don't label them, you're just gonna say 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 instead of having more meaningful information here. So So yeah, so all right. Now that assuming now that yes, in our case, like all of our data is clean now, we don't have any misclicks, we don't have any misencoding, we don't have any missing data. So the next step for us to do is to now go to our factor analysis. So we go to analyze, dimension reduction, and then factor. Now, just a quick recap of what factor analysis is. This is the part wherein we're trying to determine the validity of our data. Yeah, so because we are using survey, we use survey questionnaires, and we are following a framework for this one. We can't go straight to regression until we establish that the data that we're using has good validity and reliability. Okay. So, so yeah. So in this case, normally when factor analysis goes, it's all about the Likert scale items. You don't usually run factor analysis on demographic data. So again, same thing. You have all of your available variables here for analysis, and the right hand side will enable you to tell SPSS which variables to do factor analysis here. Now, because our research model is explicit on what item or falls under what variable, what we will be doing as far as factor analysis is concerned is that we're going to do it one variable at a time. Yeah, so let's do that. So all right, so for the purposes of this exercise, I'm going to start with a variable that has a lot of items so that you can see how this works. So I'm gonna start with SQ, system quality. So we have nine variables there. Yeah, all right. So we have nine variables there. We're going to okay. I'm gonna show you another way to do this. So it's like you can just like highlight, click, and drag them to the other side. That also works. All right, so that's good. So you're now saying to SPSS, hey SPSS, I only want to do factor analysis on these variables and leave out the rest. That's what it means. All right, so we now go to descriptives. We click on coefficients, KMO, and Bartlett's test of sphericity. I'll explain a little bit what all of this means. So you just basically need coefficients and KMO for this one. And then extraction. Now, there's a reason why I mentioned the research. I went back to the research model because this one, since we know how many, we know that all of this fall under one. Like we know that SQ is all about system quality. So instead of the extraction method based on eigenvalue, here we'll be using a fixed number of factors and will force all of those question items to fall under one factor. All right. So that's the only thing that you need to change. Leave everything else as is. And then click continue. Notation. I always use Varimax for this case. It's what my professors taught me. This one. We'll have a separate discussion as to why we use Varimax. But for the meantime, just bear with me, and we'll just use Varimax. Scores, we don't need to touch on that. Options is the last one that we need to touch. We want the coefficient display format to be sorted by size. Okay, we'll see why in a bit. Like once the output has been generated. So that once that all's done, let's click OK and let's run factor analysis. Okay. All right. So we're seeing here now the results of the factor analysis for system quality. So you can see here that the KMO Bartlett's test, okay, we want to look at this value. It's at 0.936 here. The threshold is, I believe, 0.5. Some would use 0.6, but 0.5 is fine. So that would mean that as far as the KMO Bartlett's test goes, our data is okay. The commonalities that we're seeing here, and that's the next table, okay, we want it to be at 0.5. So yeah, so we're seeing now that SQ7 here is a little bit, you know, well, it's really low. So it's 0.07. So we want to watch out for that one. Now, the KMO and the commonalities, we don't usually report them as well, but it's there for us as like an initial screening process. This is the point where we're trying to further ensure the quality of the data that we have collected for our study. Now the first big number that we're going to look at, and this will be reported, is the total variance explained. So we're looking at a minimum of 60% for this one. So we're at 71% here. Now, how I usually interpret this one is that I want to have like a minimum of 60% here, because that means that the variance, or like how volatile my data moves, is based on the responses and not anything else. So what does that mean? Let me extrapolate on this a little bit. So I have a 71.15% total variance here. That means that 71% of my variance is accounted for by my questionnaire and the responses. The other 29% is due to some noise in the environment. Maybe in the way that they were answering the questionnaire. Maybe they were in a hurry, or there was some distraction, there was noise, there was poor handling in the questionnaire. You don't want that messing up your data. So that's why there's a threshold of 60%, at least more than the majority of your variance in your data can be attributed or accounted for by the actual responses that you get, and it's not outside noise. So 60% is the minimum. We're at 71. We're good. And then the second big component that we're going to look at is, well, the component matrix, or otherwise known as your factor loadings. So this is your factor loadings that we're seeing here. Now, some people will be strict about it, that they're going to put the threshold for the component matrix scores at 0.7. Some would do it at 0.6. So let's do 0.6 for now. And as you can see, there is one number here that's way below that threshold. It's SQ7. It's at 0.73. 273, sorry. So we need to take that. Okay, we need to take that one out. So what we need to do is we need to run it again. We go to Analyze, Dimension Reduction, and then go to Factor again. And we need to take SQ7 out. So what you do is just you click that SQ7 here, and then you take that one out, right? You don't need to mess with these again, as long as you're not clicking reset, or as long as you're using the same thing. You didn't close SPSS and then run it again. All of the things that you ask SPSS to do as far as factor analysis is concerned is still there. So no need to worry about that. So you just need to go back SQ7 and then click OK. All right. So we can see that we have a better KMO Bartlett test here, 0.937. Okay. Commonalities, we're all good. It's all above 0.5. We have a better total variance explained. Okay. We're up to from 73, we're up to 79%. That's good. And we have a component matrix of, okay, all of these numbers are above our threshold of 0.6. So we're all good right now. All right, so we only need to take out one question item. That's good. All right, that's good. So we achieve a certain level of validity for now. So the next step for us to do is the reliability. So we click on Analyze, we click on Scale, and we do reliability analysis. Okay. Now, what I usually do for the reliability analysis is that I want to place my question items that I have retained or have kept after factor analysis in order in order of highest to lowest as far as the score. It's just me. You can do it any way you want, as long as that what you only add to the items that will be tested for reliability are the ones that you retain after factor analysis. So that means SQ7, which we removed from the previous exercise, will not be included here. So SQ5, SQ4, 3, 6, 2, 9, 8, and 1. All right. So this is how we're going to look at it, and then we'll look at statistics. We're going to need item, scale, and scale if item deleted. Now, a lot of the tables in SPSS, the SPSS output, we're not really going to need, but it's going to give us more insights about it. That's why I kind of like click on a lot of functions there. It's there. It's going to help us. Now, keep the model at alpha, because this is like, okay, there's a lot of reliability tests, but we're most used to Cronbach alpha. So that's what we're going to be using. So afterwards, we click OK, and there you go. This is the most important thing that we're going to need here. It's the Cronbach alpha. So the threshold for Cronbach alpha is 0.7. So we're looking at 0.96. So we have a very good reliability score here. Okay. Now, this is what I also want to focus some attention here. You see this item total statistics? This is like a sensitivity analysis that what you can do, like what would happen, let's say if you delete SQ5 from the model, then your Cronbach alpha goes down to 0.954. It's a waiver. It's just like another how do I say it? It's just like another way for you to ensure that you're getting good reliability results here. It's also similar to the validity one. So yeah, so all right, so we got a good Cronbach alpha score here. It's 0.962. So yeah, that means that we achieve a certain degree of validity and reliability. So what we usually report, okay, what we usually report is first, as far as the validity and reliability goes, what we usually report first is the component matrix here. These are the factor loadings, and then next will be the cumulative variance explained for the whole variable of system quality. And then afterwards, this is the Cronbach alpha for system quality. So it's 0.962. All right. All right. At this point, let's do another one so that we can just quickly review what we did so far. So again, let's go to Analyze, Dimension Reduction, Factor. And now let's try to do IQ, Information Quality. So, all right. So yeah, we take all of these out. And we put the 6 items of IQ here. Okay. Again, you do not need to remove all of this. You need to mess around this. It's already there. If you click reset, then you have to do everything again. Like all of the functions in these buttons here, you have to do it again. So IQ1 to IQ6 and click OK. All right. We look at the KMO. It's 0.929. Commonalities all above our threshold of 0.5. Cumulative variance, you get a very good cumulative variance here, 84%. And component matrix here is 0.93 to 0.88. That's fine. That's fine. So that being said, you can just go ahead and do your Cronbach alpha. Same thing here. As long as you do not click reset, statistics will give you the same result here. All right. So okay, and then we look at so again, I'm just being obsessive compulsive here. You don't need to input each one in the way that you do, but I just like doing it. Okay, and then click OK. Then you're gonna so here's your reliability. Oh, it's almost the same figure. It's like 0.962. I think we have 0.962 in the other previous one as well. So yeah, all right. So yeah, so that's it for reliability and validity and reliability test. Okay, so So yeah, so that's okay. So that's how we do it. Okay, for this one. So yeah, so again, it's all about just trying to make sure that your data is first of all clean. Like you have no missing data, you have no mistyped data or misencoded data. So that's where the descriptives and frequencies will come in, and then you're ensuring validity and reliability by doing your factor analysis. All right, so with that, okay, I think I'm gonna cut off the video here. Next time we will be proceeding to our next set, and that will be on doing correlation matrix first. So see you then.